We heard angry and emotional testimony Monday in the corruption trial of former presidential candidate John Edwards. Cheri Young, the wife of former Edwards aide Andrew Young, was asked why she went along with a plan to hide the candidate's affair.
She began to cry, and then she said, quote, "I felt like everything had been dumped in my lap. Everybody was on board but me. I didn't want the campaign to explode and for it to be my fault. I ultimately decided to live with a lie." She also testified that Edwards made the plan sound as if it was good for the country. 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty and CBS News legal analyst Jack Ford, our latest couple, are joining us here at the table. Good to see you both. You know what I think is so interesting? I'm so fascinated by Cheri because I don't know any wife in America or any wife I know that would go along with a plan that calls in part for your husband to publicly say, yeah, I'm the baby daddy of somebody else's child.
Well, and I think the defense is counting on that because I think the defense wants the jurors to think that it had to be for money, that no one would do it. But to see her on the stand, you know, she started Friday and then she went, it's all still just direct. She was on all day yesterday. She looks so haggard. She looks almost anorexic. This has clearly taken a huge toll on her.
How old is she, Erin?
She's 38.
Yeah,
she's
she
a pediatric
older,
nurse.
yeah.
Oh, she definitely does. And so whether or not she has credibility, we won't really know till the cross-examination, but she certainly has some sympathy sitting on the stand.
Did she come across as a sympathetic character to you all?
I think she does a couple of things here, Gail. She gives the prosecution, again, we haven't seen the cross-examination yet, but she gives the prosecution a bit more of a sympathetic figure. You know, as you said, she broke down on the stand in tears. The judge had to ask.
Anybody would have given a more sympathetic figure.
Yeah, well, exactly. But that's the thing.
True,
this is all relative inside the courtroom. But
Yes.
at least a bit more sympathetic. She also gives the prosecution the notion, and she said this herself, that ultimately she goes along with this bizarre arrangement because they were concerned that the campaign would implode otherwise. And remember, that's exactly the prosecution's theory here, that that money was given. Yes, they were friends, but the reason was to protect the campaign, and that's why the prosecution says it's a crime. And the last thing she does is she gives some idea of the power that John Edwards had over these people. As you said, do you know anybody else who would say to their husband, yeah, you go ahead. You take the heat for this one. You say you're the father of the child. But they did it ultimately because of the power that John Edwards exerted over all of them.
And adding to that, you know, she actually really paints a very unattractive picture of both of the Edwards and Riel Hunter, because she describes this life. Not only was her husband working from dawn till late at night for this family, but when the Edwards would fly into North Carolina, she'd say they would take her car and she'd be without a car. She'd have to take the cars to be serviced. She was doing menial work for them as well. And so she helps the prosecution in painting a very unattractive picture.
Does she help the defense when she says that John Edwards said, look, this is all legal?
Well, yes, and we've seen that thread. The defense is smart enough. Obviously, they're very good lawyers here. They're smart enough to pull that out whenever they can. They got that from Andrew Young, saying that John Edwards told him 5 times that he had checked with experts, it was legal. They get it again here. And remember, the drumbeat that for the prosecution is it was all to protect the campaign. The drumbeat for the defense is, look, maybe we might be wrong, but we thought it was okay at the time we did. We didn't have any intention to break any laws, and we didn't think we were breaking any.
But aren't they thinking people, guys? I mean, how do you even buy this story? I mean, just when you say it out loud, it sounds so cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs on so many different levels. I'm so curious about the power that he was able to exert over them.
Well, it was power, but also they were riding his coattails. Okay. I think that's a lot what's going on here. I think Andrew Young and his wife thought they were going to end up in the White House with a lot of power as well. And this is really a trial about betrayal all the way across the board. I mean, it does involve John Edwards betraying his wife, but it's also this very strange relationship between Andrew Young and John Edwards. And when that fell apart, that's why we have this trial.
Does this mean John Edwards is more likely to appear?
Well, you know what, Charlie, it's a hard call to make, but I would be surprised if he doesn't. I think because, again, you're going to need somebody to tell his story. And I just think that he's sitting there thinking, nobody in this courtroom is better than I am. Even though there are a lot of good lawyers, and he's saying he was a very good lawyer, I think he's thinking, nobody's in this courtroom is better than I am. And if it's my future, you know, I want to get on there. Here's the concern for the defense. Don't have an obligation to testify, and the jury will be told you can't hold it against him if he doesn't. But they've got to be worried that jurors might be saying, you know what, man, if this was me, and I was on trial, and I was a former presidential candidate, you couldn't keep me off of that stand, if in fact I was innocent.
There is also this. John Edwards probably believes that he can charm the jury.
very good point.
Well, and he's very animated through this.
I always love a lawyer's charge, Jack, that says, you may not like these people, and don't hold that against them, but I think for a
And we
jury
say that
to like
often
you,
as defense attorneys, by the way.
Yes, I know you do. I think it's important that the jury like you. You say he's going to take the stand. I predict he doesn't. We shall see.
We'll see.
To be continued. Thank you both. Jack Ford and Erin Moriarty. Always good to see you guys.